Okay then. Stream number 54. I hope I'm not accidentally reusing a stream number. This morning was 53, then we're good. All right. Need to fix this. This menu should go away when I click that, and it doesn't. So. Got a GUI here. We are able to load both data and formats. Here's a format. Now just have to add a way to pick the top level format. And populate this with the actual data components. I think I want to fix this first. That opens that up, but doesn't close this. Because that's a little annoying. And the other thing I want to change is I want it to be able to like remember the last thing we had open. If nothing else, then to like avoid having to do so many clicks to actually test this. Okay, so what about this menu thing? This thing, right? Menu button, menu button. Let's ask our friend Find in eGUI with menu button. The menu doesn't disappear after I click on a menu option. What am I doing wrong? Looks like the menu doesn't disappear after you click a menu option. It might be due to the way you're handling the click events. When you add a button to a menu, typically check if the button has been clicked using the click method. That's what I'm doing. Does not automatically close the menu to click. To achieve this, you might need to manually close the menu after menu option is clicked. Unfortunately, it doesn't provide a direct method to close the menu programmatically. But you can try a workaround by using a state variable to control the visibility of the menu. When a menu option is clicked, you can then set the state variable to false to hide the menu. Menu visible. But see, that's only if we don't want to show the menu bar in the first place. We want to show the menu bar, but yeah, let's look up menu button. Ah, there's close menu. That's what Find should have said. Close menu. Close menu. See, AI doesn't always get it right. File. Ah, nice. That time it worked. Actually, I haven't tested this. What happens if I pick a different file? Okay, now what if I scroll to the bottom and took a different file? Pick a file of a different size. Does it always scroll to the top? If I scroll down a bit and then do data. Okay, but what if I pick a very small file instead? Okay, it does go to the top if it's a completely new file. At least I think it is. Hold on. Hold on, I say. Let's scroll down and then pick another equally long file. Sure. I think because we're setting the size to here, I think it's automatically, when it removes the scroll bar, it's automatically scrolling us to the top. So which one of these files is probably longer? This one? So what if I open one that's like not as long? Will it go to the top or will it go to some other part of the file? Let's see. How come I'm lost? I'm lost. Stage. Where are you? There you are. Oh, I see. So it brought us to like relatively the same spot scroll bar wise. Hmm. This row is vibrating a little bit. Hold on, I gotta let the dog out apparently. Okay. Don't I want this menu to be a bit bigger? I think I do. I should be able to set the font on this. What do I set the font on? What can I set on the bar? Inner response font. Inner? No. What does menu bar actually do? Okay, so there's menu style. Already? Oh, I had to let her out to pee. Alright. I'm like a slave to my own dog. Let me out. Now let me in. So this button, do I set... How was I setting font before? Okay, it's not set there. Well, let's ask. How do I set the font size for eGUI menus? I'm sure it will give me a correct answer this time. You need to modify the font definitions and then apply these definitions to the UI context. So I get the default fonts and then go to the fonts, family and size, insert button, proportional 20. I can do pixels per point option. Well, let's try this one. I guess I would add it here. Well, here. Well, can't access family and size apparently. Font definitions. Yeah, it was completely wrong, wasn't it? It's hallucinating. Family. Font. We have read-only access to fonts. So if it's a widget, text edit widget. Hold on. What did the... Hold on. What is... How did I set this before? I don't remember how I actually used this. Is it on the... It's not on the widget trait. I know that. Was it labeled that I set this on? Text? No. Gosh, I don't know how I did this. What if I go to the top? I know I set this to some... I know I was able to set this somehow. Hmm. Maybe I'm hallucinating this time. Okay, time to go to their demo. Font book. See, there's definitely a font. Oh, it's on the text itself. Oh, that actually kind of makes sense. Okay. The font is on the text itself. Text font. Yeah. Okay. Hey there, Nightshade dude. Text style. It would be nice if there was some way I could find a similar demo. I thought there was something in here like where you could like, maybe it was settings, textiles. Maybe this was it. Maybe this was it. Button. You can just make everything bigger. There's no source code for this. Bummer. Uh, Style? Yeah, I don't know where I'm gonna find out more information about this. See features, dependencies, integrations, my media mode, frequently asked questions. Context set style. Okay. I think that's maybe where I want to get into this. Set style. Okay, so how do I get a style? I don't know. Aha. Here is an example of customizing the look. So I don't know where to look. It just dumped me into a repository. Blah 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 blah. Hey. Yeah, I don't know. Okay, they say you can do everything with set style, but that means I need something that can go into an arc style. I don't know how to do that. Oh, you can change the visuals with style mute and okay, is that what we want to do? You want to change fonts, use the set fonts instead. But I don't want a whole new font definitions. Often you would start with a default and then add change contents. This is how you install your own. Okay, but what if I just want to, do I just do the default and then I like go to, we'll see. I really just want, I know I'm not speaking in complete sentences. This is what happens late at night. Oh, I gotta save the Roomba. Yes, it was eating the Roomba got stuck on the cat toy. Okay, I think this is what I want. I want access to the style. And is it visuals? There's a lot of stuff in there. I just want to make like the font used in buttons bigger. It does a lot of work for me though, Nightshade Dude. It picks up a lot of cat hair and a lot of dust. It's a faithful little friend. What's interaction? Okay. Text styles. Button. That's promising. What if I go in info overlay and we don't do this stuff. We go UI.styleMute. We need to get into the text styles. Get mute, I guess. Text style. Button. Unwrap. Size. I don't know what to put. How about 20? Will I regret it? Probably. Let's see what we get. I want big buttons. Oh, that's promising. It made that button big, but it didn't make these buttons big. These buttons aren't big either. So it's only within the context of the UI I changed it in, I guess. So like I would have to repeat it over here, I guess. Is that the expectation? Nope, it didn't change it there either. Well, shoot. How do I change it? Heading, name. I mean, it's one of these. Is it body? I don't know what. I guess I could look into menu buttons, see what it draws with. Maybe. Nope, that wasn't it. Okay, we're looking at menu button. Well, hold on. Menu button is making the size bigger. It's not making it bigger for this, though. Mr. Sir! Cheers. Nothing fancy tonight, just Jameson's. But thank you for the raid. I'm trying to figure out how to make these buttons bigger. I added a menu bar up here, but these, so it made this file button bigger, but it didn't make these any bigger. So yeah, I got a hex editor now. If you haven't seen this before, did a bunch of work porting this from C#. So we got a hex editor we can scroll around in. We can select regions. And then I have this data tree, which has some fake data in it. I'm working towards a goal where I can load data in here, or load formats into here, I guess you can think of it as. Select a top level format and it'll parse this data using the formats and show me a parsing of the data. You bend and basil for the PHP stuff and then thought of a great Twitch-based CLI tool. Will it blend? Ah. Those sorts of tools are always useful, right? When you're like not sure, I guess for blending, you're looking at what, 2 different colors or something like that, and you're not sure if it'll blend right. And you kind of want an answer that follows best practices. Hey, do you guys see the glitches in this? It's really hard to see, but there's like a green line there, and there's another green line there. We get glitches in this. Otherwise, it looks pretty cool, doesn't it? Will it blend will allow you to turn a command No, run a command, and it'll create a poll here in Twitch for will it blend. So yes, no, and channel points can be spent on the poll. Will it blend? I guess I'm not getting what the blend means, but that sounds cool. Oh, is it like a fun little contest? People can like make their best guess. A non-zero exit code will be a no. The blend will be a successful command. So basically betting on if your test will pass. So is that what blend means? I guess I'm missing the context. I was thinking blend like blending of colors like in CSS or something like that. I'm way off, apparently. Yeah, so we're using eGUI. It's an immediate mode GUI library for us, no big deal. I'm trying to resize. I'm trying to hit the right style to resize the UI buttons. I think maybe the problem that I have is this needs to go in there, and this needs to say button. But I had already set the button style way out here, so it's just really weird that I'd have to set it in two places. But I don't know. Yep, that did it. Now my buttons are real big. Only these buttons are small again, which is disconcerting. Okay, how do I make all the buttons big? Does that have to do with the context, maybe? So, say I go to the context, UI.ctx, and I tell it, I want the styles, please. And we're mutating, oh, mutate style. These are all subsequent Windows panels, etc. Okay, so maybe this is what I needed to do. Style. So, Mr. Sir, CM Griffin, I might have gotten into the whiskey like you saw when you first rated me. I haven't had any alcohol in like months, so it's definitely hitting me. Felt like it was one of those days, you know, had meetings all day. I had like a half an hour slot between meetings in which to actually eat some lunch. And yeah, I'm like, I'm glad today's over with. Let's break out the Jamesons. What style part? Okay, I need to get access to text styles. There we go. So it's this rest of this, right? Okay, so presumably I don't need to do this anymore. Oh yeah, yeah. I wonder who wrote that chat overlay, you know? It's pretty cool. Oh, look, I think I fixed it. All the buttons are big now. And we can even be whimsical and set it to like 60 point, and then we'll have massive buttons. What OS? You were one character away from getting the answer. It's a pound or a exclamation mark OS. It is Linux. It's Linux, but it's also a Mac. Cause I gotcha. It's on a virtual machine. Wow, these are some big buttons. Yeah, we don't need buttons that big. Just playing around here. Making sure that's actually affecting all the buttons. Bang OS, that's right. Bang that OS. That OS is a, as we say in the business, hold on. Hold on, I gotta get this right. A banger. Okay. So I hate having to go into here and reselecting my file every single time. So what would be cool is if we could persist the path to the data file. It's an initialism technically. Because if it was an acronym, we'd say OS, right? What OS are you using? Yeah, initialism and an acronym, the difference is an acronym, you sound it out like a word. See, I know a thing or two. Yes. What's insane? This? It took me a few streams to get that right. This was not as interesting, but infinitely more useful. You have no idea what's going on? Here, I'll give you an idea of what I'm trying to do, okay? Just for fun in Rust, I'm making something like Wireshark. You may have seen this or know what it is, or may have heard about it before, or maybe you aspire to be a hacker, whatnot. So this tool, you can get open source, turn it on, have it look at your network. It dumps out all the packets that you're getting off the network, right? It also has a hex dump of the raw contents of the packets. So what you can do is you can click on a byte and it'll tell you what that byte means. You can also pick a packet and then pick a field of the packet and it'll show you where in the packet the bytes for that field are. So I'm doing a similar thing. So the idea is like you could drop in a GIF file and it would say, oh, well, those 3 bytes, that's the signature. And those 3 bytes, that's the version of the spec that this follows. And oh, those 2 bytes, that's the width of the image. Those 2 bytes is the height. That kind of thing. So I have this running in the console. I'm trying to make a GUI out of it. So here, this is what I've been doing, kind of showing them side by side. So my tool contains a compiler for a special language I came up with, which describes data formats. So this is the format of a GIF file, right? You have a header at the front of the file right there, and you have a trailer at the end. You have a little bit of information about the images, and then you have the actual raw data blocks that are compressed. So like header, built-in type string, name signature, 24 bits long. That's GIF, right? Then you have another string, version, 24 bits, that's 89A, right? Then logical screen has a descriptor, which has the width and the height. That's little endian, unsigned int 16, right? So it's 300 by 300. So when I run the tool console mode, it spits it out one line at a time, right? So each line is a part of the file. So, you know, starting at the top, the header, we have the signature, that's one line, and then the version, that's the second line. Then we assign an overall value for the header because it's like a data tree, right? So header has child node signature and version, and it itself has the same value as version because that's what the return statement does. And then we go into a logical screen. Like I said before, it has a descriptor, width and height, right? So there is the width right there. It says it's 300. So what I'm trying to get now is a nice little GUI that we can load the same file in here. And here's that GIF 89A, right? That I can load it in here and then I can tell it, hey, by the way, use the formats here that I have here called gif.format. So right now in the background, it says, oh, now I understand all of these formats, right? What I'm trying to do now is use those formats with the library I already made to crunch all these bytes and then generate a data structure on the right here so that if we click on a byte on the left, like let's say I click anywhere here, it should highlight that and then it should highlight the row that says header, signature, GIF, right? And then if I click here on the byte 4, it should say, oh, well, those 3 bytes is header version 89A. That means 1989 version of GIF. And then similarly, like if on the right here, it'll have something like the width of the image is 300. And if you click there, it'll say, oh, well, that's stored here in these bytes. So yeah, fun little project, huh? So I didn't want to open that. There's a lot of terminology I'll be throwing out casually. So I mentioned there's a compiler, right? So this is a custom language. It's kind of like C, but it doesn't have a lot of math, right? It's mostly declarations. You can think of it as a declarative style of structure definition. So the definition of a header is this, and the definition of a GIF is that, and a GIF, one part of a GIF is a header, right? So it's like a declarative structure, but it's also got a little bit of logic in here because you can have more than one data block. You have as many data blocks as it takes until you see that the next 8 bytes ahead is a 3B, which is the tag for a trailer, label for a trailer, right? And we have to compile this into a form in memory that we use to walk the bytes that we receive from the raw file, right? We get these bytes and we're going to walk this and say, okay, well, to figure out what these bytes here mean, we got to start at header. Okay, now wherever we are at the first byte, it's going to be a string and it's going to be 24 bits long and name its signature, right? So it's like a recipe. So we're compiling a data format recipe. There are 2 parts to that, right? There's the lexer and then the parser. Very traditional breakdown into 2 pieces of a compiler. Lexer takes these lines and characters, lines and columns and all that, and turns them into tokens. Like that's one token. Header is another token. The semicolon here, another token. Double equals, another token, right? So we get a string of tokens. It doesn't really mean anything yet. We assign meaning to it through the parser. So that turns that token stream into an abstract syntax tree. What the hell is an abstract syntax tree? It's basically the same as your input, except for all the punctuation removed. And each of these non-punctuation symbols, we figure out what the meaning is. So this means a format. This is a statement of a part of a data. This is another data part set statement, and another one down here. This is actually a loop, which has its own set of statements. A look ahead, an if statement, and a part. This if has a break. So that's the abstract syntax tree. We get from tokens to abstract syntax tree, abstract syntax tree by applying a set of rules called the grammar. You guys are taking notes, right? There's going to be a quiz later. Here's the grammar rules. So formats is just a sequence of formats. And I know this is like super easy to see, right? I'll explain it. This is what we're going to reduce the tokens to, formats. This is the element of the abstract syntax tree that represents the format. So it's a map from a string, which is the name of the format, to an actual format. There are 3 rules that reduce to formats. There's the empty rule, which means you have no input, no tokens at all. That's cool. That's cool, bro. You just get an empty hash map. Second rule is if you have already got some formats, maybe it's empty, maybe you happen to have magically have some, and then the very next tokens in the stream form a format. Well, that's great. So take that format map and take the name and the format out of the next and insert it into that map. I gotta go save the Roomba again. Hold on. I saved the Roomba. Okay, if you have cats and your cats have toys and you have a Roomba, you know my pain. The Roomba keeps running over the toys. So yeah, you can see that this is a recursive grammar rule. That word appears here. So you start with an empty, then you add a format to it, and now you have a formats with one thing in it, and then you have another one, so now you have 2, etc. So it forms a chain. This is a special rule called an error rule. If you have some formats and then you have some error from the lexer, then we identify where that error started and ended, and we might get a nice little error message to let you know. Is this format of your own? Yes, and this is the grammar for it. The name of this is the DataDisintegrator language. So what is a format? It's one of these guys. So we have an identifier, we have some optional arguments, we have a left brace, a bunch of statements, and a right brace. That matches it, right? What the hell's a statement? Well, a statement, well, first we have statements, and they're spanned, so it's either empty, or we have the chain rule again here, which you might remember is the same way we formed a chain of formats. So it's just take the chain, push the next thing into it. Span statement is just a statement with little span like delimiters off. That's how we remember the beginning and the ending of a statement. So if we have an error, we can tell you exactly where in the input it was. So a statement, we can either be parsing something. We could be doing a look ahead or an ignore. We have if statements. We have while loops. We have loop statements. We have a for loop. We have what I call the bounded region. And we have a simple statement. Simple statements, assignment, accumulate, increment, decrement, return, break, error, and keep. So it's all data oriented. So the most common statement you'll run into is a parse statement, which is really just minimally a format and a semicolon. So that means that when you get to this part of GIF, go parse a header. Then parse a logical screen, right? So a more involved parse statement might be something where not only do you have a type, but you also have a name and you have a bound. This means that although the type is the built-in string type, which is S, we don't want to call it S, we want to call it signature because we happen to have another string right afterwards. If we had two strings called S, it would be a collision. So call one of them signature and the other one version. The bound means limit the parsing to that number of bits because string is greedy. It'll take the whole file and call it one string if you don't have a bound on it. So we put a 24-bit bound and we say it's exactly 3-character long string, right? So signature is just that, semicolon ends it. Version is a little bit more interesting because we have an interpretation map. This says if the string is this, then interpret it as 1987 and 89A is 1989. And we could put whatever we want in these strings. That's just to like expand upon like if you see this value, it means that kind of a thing. So hopefully that kind of gives you a taste of the language. The goal is to be able to describe any file format. So GIF, JPEG, bitmap, MP4, Twitch stream, packet in this language. Anything that I can't represent in this language, I try to update the language to support it. There is one interesting aspect of it in that it's only one pass. So we get down and if we finally get down to image data and we get these blocks out right here, all we know is that there's a compressed LZW stream inside these blocks. But we really can't decode it all the way down to the pixels without first collecting the blocks together. So the way I envision handling this is the first pass of the parsing would collect all these blocks. Then with some kind of script, you would identify where all those blocks are, form a new bit stream from the concatenation of all those blocks, decode that with LZW. Then you get a decoded bit stream, which in the case of GIF is they're all color indices, right? So then the third pass would be take those decoded color indices and then form an image out of it. So you can parse at the bit level, yes. Parse bits. It works on, even if it's not aligned, byte aligned. So it gets a little interesting when things aren't byte aligned. So these are all byte aligned. There's spaces here. When you get to something that's not byte aligned, you have a dot something. So that means that that's 1 bit long, right? So then the next field starts at offset A.1 and is .3. So it's 3 bits long starting at 1 bit into the byte, right? Then the next thing is at 4 bits in, 1 more bit. So that means the next thing is going to be at A.5, which is 3 bits. Aha, we're byte aligned again. So now we go to B and we're byte aligned. It supports anything up to 64 bits long at any offset in the bits. Couple limitations are the built-in types are string, unsigned integer, signed integer, floating point, and single bit. Anything else other than that has to be built like as a composite. So there are some formats out there that do really tricky things like Huffman encoding, and I don't have built-in support for those, and I might add them because they're tricky and time-consuming to express as a composite. I figure I'll do it when I get there. But GIF is really simple. I mean, come on, it was made like 40 years ago, 50, 60 years ago. How many years ago? I guess it's not that many years ago, 35 years ago. This is a 35-year-old format. They're not going to be very, it's not going to be that advanced. Spend a little time developing EXIF parser. That'd be a great thing to try to describe in my language is EXIF. So the goal is to make this a general purpose decoder. I can make it go with GIF. I can make it with a JPEG, anything else that I want to parse something new and I don't want to have to write code for it. This is the minimal amount of programming, so to speak, that I want to do. I want to be able to say like, here's how it's built from its parts. And the parts it's like a composite. So you have complicated parts and those complicated parts are built out of simpler parts. Built-in support in the DSL for encodings. Yeah, so there are a couple really, really popular ones. Huffman tables are really popular. They're tricky because the code lengths are not known a priori. You have to actually read the codes in or read a table in, and then you'll know how long the codes are. There are other formats where you have like to keep reading a bit at a time, read another bit until you read a 0. And then you take the number of bits that you parsed, and that is the value. So you have like 1110, that's 3. 110 is a 2. Yeah, so those kinds of codes, like you could do it in my language with a loop, but it would be very slow. If they're pretty close to being an elemental type, I might make a built-in for it. Fortunately, the built-ins aren't too hard to do. So I have an ingestion, and here I have a S. Is it not an ingestion? Maybe it's in statement. Okay, now I don't remember what it is. I don't remember. We're gonna search for in RS files. It's like ingest. Here we are. Where that's called. Call hierarchy, please. There we go. So here are all the elementals, right? So if conceivably we add another built-in like Huffman, maybe I'll call it the Huff, don't hassle the Huff. We would just make a new ingestion thing. Here's a little example, right? So if we go to ingest as a string, you can see we take the limit of the input bit stream, divide by 8. That's the number of characters. And then we just say, give me those bytes, and then do a string from UTF-8 lossy on those bytes, and that's our string. Is this the new Zelda? No. So yeah, I'm working on the GUI right now. So I got this working this morning that I can like open this menu and pick a file. I think it would be really cool if it just kind of remembered which file I had open the last time. So I want a little bit of state persistence. So while I was like eating lunch today, I looked up a couple crates that might be useful. One of them is called what was it called? Do I have to bring up my phone and look it up again? Or just do a simple web search. It was like Rust embedded key value DB. It wasn't one of these. It wasn't rocks. Oh, what was it? It was like S something. Sled. That's what it was. It was Sled. Sled looked pretty cool. A lightweight, high performance, pure Rust, transactional embedded database. One weakness. You have to give it a path. And I'm thinking, path? Well, what if we're running in WebAssembly in a web page, right? We have no file access. So if I couple this with something that gives me like different paths depending on what target I'm on, maybe, or I just say to hell with WebAssembly and I just say, well, we're going to run on a real PC we just want to either use a path that's right next to the executable, or we want to use something like directories, which is another crate that can tell us where to store our database. Directories. Another Rust crate I was thinking about using. Tiny mid-level library that provides platform-specific standard locations for directories. So we would ask it, hey, where's our application support directory? And it would give us a different answer depending if we were on Linux, Windows, or Mac, right? Like a config dir. That would be nice. And then I would take the config dir, I would open up a sled database, and I would like store like the path to the last data file we opened. And then when the program runs again, we would just load it back. So assuming you have a FMT for an EXIF, could you run this and extract metadata fields from an image? Totally could, yes. Are you going to support specifying something like an XPath to extract data? Yes. I call that a reference or a dereference. And I wanted to have this embeddable in Lua. So I actually have a Lua module for this. I was playing around with this. Test.lua. So yeah, I was playing around with right here that you could do it a couple ways. You could start with a GIF and then walk down its part hierarchy one step at a time. Or you can do a dereference and this is sort of the equivalent of an XPath, right? So if it's a really deep path, this would be annoying to do. So you kind of want to do it in one long string. And that would leverage part of the ingestion's internal guts, because how do I say this? Inside the format, we also have to do this. So like this, right? Because a lot of the time, this happens a ton in binary file formats. You'll parse one thing, and then depending on some part of the thing you parse, like this global color table flag, depending on whether or not that's a 0 or 1, defines whether or not the next bits actually mean something or means something else. So in this case, we parse the descriptor, and then we have to reach into what we parsed and grab something out of it in order to know, is there a global color table there or not? So already within the format language itself, it has to be able to support like path variables. So I'm like, why don't I just leverage that? And like when we access the parsing engine through Lua, we can also kind of use the same kind of paths. So that sort of works. This works for values, but it doesn't work for this commented out one, which is to get the full component. Because you get, not only do you get the value, you also get where it was in the original bit stream, whether or not there was an error parsing it, what its format was, all sorts of useful things. And that's not yet available to the scripts, unfortunately. Because I had a little problem with L values versus R values. Little embarrassed, not a big deal. Okay. Yeah, so I think I want to take advantage of these crates here. Sled looks really easy. We just have to get like a path, which I think I'm going to use directories for. So we'll use the crate directories, and we'll get like the project dirs. And with that dir, I'll concatenate some name, I guess, and then we'll use sled open, and we'll use it to see if like the last data file we opened, and every time we open a data file, we'll update it. So this would be something that the app has, right? Okay, what version of sled are they on? 1.0 alpha 118? Does that mean it's not released yet? Probably need to implement some sort of array syntax, something. We have array syntax, yeah. So there are two kinds of array syntax. There's the obvious one, which is you can just form an array, like this look ahead. See, it has 2 elements in it, so that's pretty simple. You just build an array. But there's also a not so obvious, and maybe you can kind of see it here. Can you see the array here? Well, how about if I run the tool and I'll give you a hint. If I scroll down to the bottom, do you see something here that maybe might hint about there being an array? If you said data is an array, you are correct. Why is data an array? I don't have any array syntax here at all. It's called vector parsing context, and I think it's sweet. And it matches the declarative format really well. Basically, if it says you had to go into a loop to parse something, you're going to have more than one of it. So every time we parse a data, we actually fill another slot of data's vector. So if we go through 61 times, we'll have 61 elements of data. And that's exactly what happens. So anything parsed within the context of a loop has a vector context and is implicitly an array. If you have a two-dimensional loop, you'll have a two-dimensional vector or array for everything you parsed. So you might say gif.data14.local color table index 12, and you'll get the 12th index of the local color table for image 14. And it works with my references. It's super cool. Very proud of that stuff. Okay, I need to go to the cargo toml, don't I? Let's close all this junk. We're in the GUI, right? We're going to cargo toml. We're going to pull in sled. Sled equals, do they have 1.0 released yet? No. So we're going to go on 0.34. We got the nice green check mark. I can't move to .18 or .29 of these because latest version of eGUI depends on exactly these versions. So we have to stick through it even though we have a little X's. So that array syntax exposed in the script? Yes, it is. So two ways. If in Lua you ask for a value, so if we were to grab GUI.data, you would get it as a Lua array. That would be very inefficient because that's a huge array, right? I was also thinking that when you do that, what is it? What do I call that? Actually, here are some examples of that, right? That we can get an array out and we can do the I pairs on it. If you use this dereference value, if you use array dereference syntax in here, like if logical screen was an array and you did that, it would navigate to the in this case the 6th element. Or maybe we would just, because Lua starts at counting at 1, this would be the 5th element. But that would go into logical screen's vector, and it would just work. Anyway, we got sled. I also need directories, right? Directories. So a fun little thing you can do if you have this plugin is you can just guess a value, and if you're wrong, it says, "Oh, you really wanted 5.0, right?" And it's like, "Yes, that's what you wanted." All right, so source app actually here. I think this is where I'm going to in our inner state, we're gonna like have that database. Now I've never used sled before, but it looks really easy. We're just going to have I guess it's a tree. I don't know what type it is yet, but we're going to get it by doing sled.open. So when we create a new thing here, let's do it, I don't know. How about right here? Access our persistent state. This is build our application state. To disambiguate, because we're using the same word twice. I hate using ambiguous terms. Am I planning to commercialize this? That would be awesome. Right now I have a job though, and it would probably be a conflict of interest for me to commercialize it. I also can't put it into open source because of job rules. But I envision that this hobby of mine, since I've had it for about 5 years, I'll continue to have it for 5 more years. Maybe I'll commercialize it later. De facto standard for a lot of this is EXIF tools, which is basically impossible to actually embed in your own programs. Mine is sort of heavy too. It has a compiler. I mean, it's not the most efficient and small EXIF parser. If your like domain is pretty specific, like EXIF, it probably pays to like design a special language just for EXIF. And if that's really popular, then Awesome. Mine's so general purpose that it's probably going to be too fat for something like EXIF. But it could do it. Just might not be the most efficient. EXIF tool does metadata for basically everything, not just EXIF. Okay, well, never mind. Access our persistent state. So let our tree equal, what was it, sled open. Okay, we're gonna get a result, which is fine. Maybe I just say if, well, if we can't open it, yeah, I think we're just gonna do a question mark because it's gonna be an anyhow result, right? So we'll assume we have some persistent store path. Okay, and this is where I need the other directory. So it's this, the thing I typed there, equal directories. What is it? Project? What was the example that they showed? Projectors. Okay. Oh, from. Okay, so qualifier. Reverse domain name notation for the application. That would be com, organization, Raimu. And before you ask me who owns Raimu.com, this Raimu owns Raimu.com. Have you ever wondered if Raimu has its own website? He does. Nothing to see there, though. There's a rabbit on a pancake on its head, though. One of these days, I'll put something there. But it serves as our as the base for our application. So this is DataDisintegrator. Okay. So that gives us an option project. Why is it an option? Isn't that always going to give us something? If let's let's do okay or anyhow. No place to store our persistent state. Question mark. Okay, and then I have to do use anyhow, right? All right. So that gives me project dir. So I'm gonna want to abstract this away a little bit, right? So instead of calling it project dirs, let's call it what they called it. Project, or instead of calling persistent store path, we'll call it project dirs. Persistent store path is going to be, I think can we do like path concatenate or something like that? If you're interested, exit tool support. Always thought of a commercial version of this that could be more embeddable. Well, I could take that on as something fun to do after I get this tool up and running. We can make exif something we try to parse. Copy link. Pasta link. Oh, look at all these things it supports. Does it support MP4? It's one of my favorite formats. I'm not sure what this means. You can read and write it. Nice. That's another thing that I'm not sure I can do with my language is be able to write. I know we can read, but write is harder. Write and create is harder. Encoders are always harder to do than decoders. Support for EXIF metadata. Oh, I see. So MP4, can it write? It can write MP4s. That's pretty impressive if it can. It can. Wow. Anyway. It says it's fast and flexible and customizable. Come come on, Phil Powers. It can't be lying, can it? You can't tell what your job is on screen, or you can't talk to anyone about it at all, including... I can talk about it with family and friends. I just can't do it in the stream. So I asked them, can I do stuff on stream? I think it was specifically, can I do advent code on stream? And they're like, yes, but don't represent the company, so don't talk about the company. Don't do anything that you do at work. And you can't check it into GitHub. You can't do open source without permission and all that. So basically the rules were if I wanted to stream. They can't control what I do, like at home, talking to family and friends. Although there are certain things, you know, you've heard of non-disclosure agreements, right? Stuff like that, they're even more limited. But just in general, like, they just say, like, you know, this needs to be completely separate from your work. Then we have no problem with you doing it. But some of the rules were really kind of a little bit weird. They're like, I asked, like, can I continue working on the MMO game? And they're like, we don't want you to work on any games or apps. I'm like, it's kind of weird, but that's okay. I got a lot of stuff that I could do. Like, I made this, right? I made that. That was fun. I missed some rules or chat, didn't I? You chuckle every time you show the pancake rabbit? Have I shown that before? Nightshade dude? I think that was the first time I ever showed that. Basically just preventing conflict of interest, but yeah, basically. Also, they don't want me, they don't want to be associated with what I do because there's that reputation gray area, right? If I do something they don't like, at least it's not reflecting on them. I have shown that. That's the keyboard I'm using right now. Yeah, it's a 36 key keyboard called the Rusty keyboard because the firmware is all in Rust and I developed it here on stream. Okay, tragically, I just drank the last of my whiskey. Anyway, persistent store path. I think I want the project dirs.config.dir. Now, can I concatenate? Like, how can I join? Oh, you can join. There we go. I want to join to that store. Cool. So we got a tree. Let's see what type that is. It's type DB. What a nice type that is. Let's just call it store DB. I'd call it a sled DB. Such nice names, I don't even have to import it because it's pretty small already. Okay, so we got our sled DB. Store, I wanted to call it, right? Okay, and then we're just gonna hold on to the store. Cool, so then what I would like to do, two things. When we get an event, when we get this message to open the data file, I want to, when we open it successfully, which is always going to be successful, right? Put it back in the store. So self store, do I do set? Do I do insert? I don't remember. What do they say here? You can get, you can insert. So I guess if it's already in there, insert just overrides it. Insert. Okay, key data value path. Doesn't like that type. It needs an IVEC. Oh, well, we need it to, I guess we do as bytes. 2 bytes. How do you get the bytes from a path? It's like has OS string to bytes or something. As bytes, there we go. Okay, that's a result. Let's unwrap it. When I refactor, I'll change it to an expect or handle the error. But right now I'm forging ahead. So, same thing for formats, right? Actually, if I make it preload the formats, then I might want to have it like clear the formats. That's no big deal. We'll just add that. So this will add formats. This one's tricky though, because we might have more than one file. How about I not do that yet? Let's just get the single file working. So if we store here, then we want to also be able to load when we create the app, right? So that happens over here. We make this info overlay, right? Let's say if let some data equal self. Actually, we don't even have a self yet. Store.get data, which it occurs to me I should make that into a constant. Unwrap. IVEC, right? Can I like get it as a string or a path? Anyway, info overlay needs to have a method to like set the data file, right? Oh, that's here. That we should refactor this, right? Totally refactor this. So that's refactor, extract into function. It's got a fun name. This will be load data file. If I can type that correctly, load data file. Okay, and then we'll just call load data file. No big deal. Right down here. Load, self load. Oop. Try that again. Self load. Oh, we don't have a self yet. Shoot. Well, why don't we make a self? We'll call it this. Let this equal self so that we can do this down here. And we can say load the last data file we had loaded the last time we ran, if any. Load the last data file, if any, that we had loaded the last time we ran. Rewrap comment. So this will be a this dot load data file data. Let's hope that that works. It didn't work. I don't need a comment here. So how do I get the data into the correct format? It needs to be an IVEC. Do I need to like dereference? It expected a path buff, found U8. Oh, can I do like a path buff from bytes? Okay, I give up. Let's ask our friend. How in Rust, how do I convert a byte array into a path buff? It'll never sag fault. That's right, King. You rewrote your resume. You're wondering if I could review it. Did I review it before? To convert a byte array into a path buff, I first need to convert a byte array into a string. No, I don't. That's not true. This is totally wrong. How can it be done without going through string, because pathbuf is represents strings that aren't UTF-8. OS string. Yeah, there we go. I have to use FFI. Okay. OS string from bytes. From bytes. Data. And then pathbuf from. What's the type of that data? It's an IVEX, so probably don't need that. But I do need this. Consider borrowing here. Yes, I will consider it. Moved value. The store got moved, so that's this store. And this needs to be mutable. Cool, I think it'll work. Well, thing is, I'm rather busy, King, so I wouldn't be able to review it now. I guess I'd be okay reviewing it later. You want to put it in the Discord? Okay, data. So this should be the last time I have to do this, right? Stage. Can I quit and run again? And it should be there, right? Oh, it works. I never have to load it again. It just loads it. Nice. Okay, so let's do the same thing with formats, although I have to be careful because there could be multiple format files, right? So like when I load this, it loads all these formats, right? But that's just from one file, and there's nothing that says we can't load from two different files. So I need like a third button. It's like clear formats, or maybe formats. Should I have a formats tab? And it's load and clear. How about we do that? Formats, load and clear. Am I going to add color? You haven't seen the color. Look, I have color. I add color where it adds value. So like the highlights are going to have different colors. There's color for when you have a selected row. If you mean like color, like have these dialogue. Well, I didn't actually design this, so that's someone else's fault that it's not very colorful. I do have different colors here, but they're like, I'm a very functional person. I'm not an artist. Probably an artist could pick a better color than this, maybe purple, I don't know. I can change them really easily. They're constants. If I were to take these controls and make them reusable, I'd probably make it so that they're not constants, but they have defaults, but you can set them through like a builder. When you're constructing them in memory, you'd be able to change the color or something like that. And I'm not opposed to setting the colors, just not, I'm not an artist, so I don't come up with colors very well on my own. Okay. All right, so where was I? I'm going to yeah, it's an art thing. So I think it's like the other half of your brain. Like a lot of people are very like functionally oriented, like they get things to work. Form, the function is more important than the form, and then there's the other like the other set of people who are like using the other half of their brain where it's the form is better than the function. So it's like they like how things look. They're more concerned about how things look than how things work. And so they're the artists, they're the creative people. I like to think of myself as an implementer. I'm not very creative. I don't mind admitting that weakness. I let someone else be creative. I always like to tell my friends the perfect company, the perfect startup would be a three person team. The creative person, the implementer, and the business person. So have someone who just comes up with the ideas, someone else implements them, and a third person does all of the like marketing, accounting, like managing. You know, to free up the creative person, you want the creative person just to focus on the ideas. The implementer doesn't need to come up with the ideas. They just talk to the creative person. I think that would be the perfect team. And the way I would fit into the team, I would be the implementer. Let someone else run the business and let someone else do the creative stuff. So I'm adding some extra buttons right here. So we have where is it? Here. We're adding another menu button, really. It's going to be formats. Let's call this data. And we'll call that one open. And I'm going to delete this one. And then this one, it's going to be load. And then we'll have another one called clear. So the way clear will work is I need to do self dot this is the info overlay, right? We have to actually send a message to the app. We got to do one of these to tell the app to clear its formats. So clear formats. I'm being very sneaky here. All right. This sender is from the standard synchronization library called MPSC, multi-producer single consumer. It's what they call a channel, and it's really sneaky. It allows you to, as an escape hatch, if you have two parts of your program that are really hard to connect directly together, like they're like both like sub modules from different subsystems, and there's just no way that you can like get one to have a reference to the other. At the very top, you make a channel and you send the sender down one path and you send the receiver down another path. And then whoever gets the sender can send messages to whoever got the receiver. So in my case, the info overlay is allowed to send messages to the app because it doesn't have direct access to the app, but it has a sender, a channel. So all we have to do is manufacture a value of type message, and we just tell the sender to send it, and we drop the result because we don't care if the sender succeeded or not. And then back in the app, we have one place where we're handling messages, and then it gets caught here magically, comes out the other end. So I think all I really need to do here is tell the parser to clear, and I don't have a way to do that. So I'm just going to invent it right now. So we're going to go to where I have formats and add a clear method. Let's just add it here. Function clear. Self. It's just self formats clear. Easy. I did it. Super simple. It's almost 1 a.m. You need to go to sleep. Thanks for the stream. Oh, thank you, Garchwells. I'm motivating you to learn Next.js. Great. I always like to motivate people to learn. I should probably go to bed soon so I can stream in the morning. But I'd like to get this working. I'd really like to get to where we're actually parsing real data and showing it there. I think that would be the perfect stopping point. Okay, so if we do load stage format, and then I do format clear, and then I load again. Cool. Now if I load a second time, here's where we're going to get a conflict, right? Without clearing in the middle, if we tell it to load again, it's probably going to crash, actually. No, it just listed them again. That's surprising to me. I thought we would get a conflict. Interesting. So maybe it overwrites the format. So if it sees the format a second time, it just replaces the first one. Okay. Well, I don't quite like that. I kind of think I would want to get an error. So let me make a to-do. There should be an error if the parser sees two different versions of the same format. Like right now, it just replaces the old one with the new one. Okay, so if we allowed loading multiple formats, then I need like a list, and I don't know if I can do that with sled. Let's see what they support here. Well, if it's anything that can be an IVEC, right? So maybe they support lists. So give it a try, maybe. So it would be a vector of paths then. Okay, this is actually a problem. If I were to try to run this on Windows, I would have a big problem, wouldn't I? Let me ask this. Is there an alternative to that which works on Windows 2? You can find an answer, find. You must use OS string from bytes in the FFI module. Okay. Isn't that what I'm doing? No, I'm not. Is it hallucinating again? Hold on. Hold on. Use standard FFI OS string. Yeah, I think it's hallucinating. Open a tab. Well, it doesn't say anything about it being Windows only. There's also no from bytes, though. That's experimental. Do I want OS string instead? I I just don't remember how to do this the right way. I think instead of asking an AI, I think I'll just ask a more targeted or more general question in older tech. Rust convert path buff to bytes. Oh, we just got back to here somehow. This feels like something that I've done before. I just can't remember how I did it. Was it a trade implementation? I'm looking for like an implementation of something with U8s. I don't see it though. I thought the whole point of a path buff is it's a non-Unicode like OS representation, so you can it's just really raw bytes. But I guess I'm just wrong. Okay, so it is encoded. Well, I can always just do the two-string lossy. I'm only going to have trouble if I have non-Unicode paths. How often am I going to run into that? Probably never. Okay, then if I'm never going to run into that, we'll do path to string lossy as bytes. There, done. And then the other direction is path from is it path from path buff wouldn't it just be string from UTF-8 lossy? Yeah, one less parentheses. And then I gotta borrow that, right? No? What's the problem? I thought you could convert a path buff from a string. I don't remember this stuff. Path buff? What can we convert it from? There's a direct from string. Okay. All right, then it's just from. Is the problem with that is it doesn't give me a string? So I have to like do to owned or something? Oh, come on, man. To string? Okay. It just hadn't I just had to do that. Okay, I did a thing. Whatever. Whatever. Now it's not Unix specific. What a pain in the butt. Okay. So yeah, so I did a saving to where did I do this? If you open right down here, no, around here somewhere. It was in when we handled this. That's where we did it. Find all references. Here. We did a store insert, right? I guess we would get it, add it to the list, and then store it. Actually, I wonder if I can do that with hash set. So if we add the same file, it would just like do nothing. Don't overthink it. Don't overthink it. Okay, self.store.insert formats. Okay, let's see if I can actually find this. Store it like this. So like let's have a self.formats. Formats. The vector of path. Well, pathbuff is a problem, right? So let's try something I know it should be able to serialize. String. Okay. Okay, so we can go. Okay, so it can't go directly from a vector to of strings to this thing. There are 31 others. Well, it can go from raw bytes. Maybe what I need to do is do a bin code on it. Don't overthink it, or maybe you should think about it. I need to think. Exactly, Riley Monkey. What does sled support? What dost thou support, sled? IVEC. They support all sorts of like raw byte arrays from a boxed. Yeah, it looks like it's up to me to serialize it. Well, I guess we need another crate. We need another crate. Bin code is a nice one. Let's do bin code. Binary serialization. So I just do derive encode decode on it. Okay. Then we're gonna make a type. Struct formats. Before I go any further, I want to pull in bin code. Are they up to version whatever 1.0 or something yet? 2.0? They still haven't gotten to version 2.0? They've been on version 2.0 release candidate forever. Okay, open new window. Open recent. rusty keyboard because I was using this like last year, for goodness sake. IBC, right? Yeah. I was using release candidate 3. They're still on release candidate 3. Oh, probably because I updated this recently. Yeah, let's use release candidate 3. Close that. Default features false, features allocate and derive. Actually, I don't know why. I don't know if we need the allocate feature. Yeah, but let's go with this. So we have bin code, so we can derive encode decode. Or really decode encode. No, I forget how to use this. It's been a while. Encode to vec. Let formats equals bin code encode to vec. The value is self.formats. Config is config standard. So bin code config standard. That is erroneous or fallible. So we're going to unwrap. So this is a vector of formats. Well, it is a formats. Okay, and then I need to import decode and encode. Okay, so formats is really well, can I just make it a new type? Vector of string. I can and I will. So this is, so it can take the formats, right? Yes, it can. It's just a vector of bytes. Formats. Actually, I should access our state for that. Oh, wait, no, I want to get it from here. So make that blank. Right, so same thing here. Earlier I described how a data type could be understood as a vector based on its context. You gave me that style and name. What was that? Vector parsing context? I think I call it different names, but I think of this as being parsed in a vector context. Yeah. Okay, so that goes there. This gets deleted. This is formats. This is if some formats. So let formats equals bin code decode from, oh, how does this work? From slice? Decode from slice formats bin code config standard. Unwrap. Consider borrowing. I will. Okay, and then this is what? Oh, probably because of this. So this should be for path in formats. And this dot formats equals formats when we're done. Dot 0. I'm missing some punctuation here somewhere. I don't know. There. Okay, so path, it still doesn't not understand. I guess I need to tell it that it's a formats. Mismatch type. Why does it need a size? It needs a length? Okay. I don't care about the length. Figure it out. There we go. That's how I tell it I don't care twice. All right, so then, yeah, it should just be that we already have it as a string, so it's just path, right? Yes. Yes. Oh, and this goes in there. Cool. So we encode, we decode. This might fail. So then if I really want to test this, I want to make some like test formats under the stage. So let's make, see, we have the GIF format. Let's make a new file called foo.format, and we'll have a foo, right? And then we'll make a bar.format. That's bar. Okay. Those are legit formats. No laughing. Okay, anyway. If this works, I can like load foo, close the program, open it, and it should load foo automatically. Then I can load bar, and it should add it to the list of formats. Quit, load again. So load, stage, foo. Look, we got a foo. Now I quit. I run again. We should have a foo again. We don't. They mess that up. Insert formats, and then the beginning, get formats. Should I do a debug here? Can't debug that. Can I do a debug here? Really? Oh, well, I can, if I derive it. So that was the problem all along? Okay. I just don't know if it's in the database yet right now. Okay, it's an empty array. Did I like not update it correctly? Handle message, formats file. Oh yeah, I didn't add it to that. That's what happened. Self.formats dot 0 dot append, no, push. But really it should be a hash map, right? Let's make it a hash map. Or a hash set, really. Can't encode a hash set. Well, bummer. But you know what? I can I can do it this way. I can say encoded or encodable formats. And then we can have formats be a hash set after all. And then just to make sure, this, it can't do that. But then we can have implementation of formats of from encoded formats, encodable formats for formats. To do, we do self, and we do value dot 0 dot into iter collect. And then we do the other way too. We do from formats for encodable formats. So now they're basically interchangeable with a from or an into, right? Now I can like encode them one way and like store them a different way. So this I can do a 0.insert path. It was like path to string lossy, right? .to string. And then what I do is I say let encodable formats equals self.formats dot or into. And then we do that. So we encode it that way and we decode it the other way. So this is hash set new. Okay, so then this is encodable formats. And then I have to do into there. We can do debug on that one, right? Yes, we can. Okay, do I have a move problem? Yes, I do. Let's tweak this a little bit. So we'll implement from, but we'll do it for a reference because that's really sneaky, right? On this side. So we get a reference. And then that should still work, right? Only now I have to do a borrow. Yeah, a little funny. There, that works. Do I do it like as ref? As ref, right? Or do I just do iter? Collect has a problem. I can if I do a cloned. Is that the problem? Into... No, it has to be iter and it has to be cloned. Because we're just borrowing, right? We have to actually make a clone of everything. Great. And then we do that, right? Okay. So what did it load? It loaded nothing. So formats load, stage, foo. So we have foo, and then quit, run again, should have foo in there, right? Yes, so it remembered foo. So it should have loaded it. I don't know if it actually did. Oh, it put it here. Okay, because I copy paste bug. But if I load bar, it should have foo and bar. So let's make sure that that actually works. Bar, right? No, it only has bar. Okay. Quit and run. It should have both foo and bar. Okay, it has both foo and bar, but there's still a problem with the data file format. So let's fix that. Okay. No. Okay. Then what happened? Oh, here it is. It should be format file, right? That's the problem. That we just need to refactor out of the handle message. Handle message, handle message. Here it is. So it's this part, right? Everything up to the store. So everything here. Refactor into function. That's load formats file. And this should be plural. Okay. Should all work now. It should load foo and bar with the data file. Yep. Format foo, format bar. Great. One problem is that clear doesn't clear the paths, so I need to fix that. So if I do like a formats clear, and then if I were to quit and run again, it'll still know about foo and bar. Yep, see, still loaded them. So we want clear to actually clear. I am lost. Let us get found. Okay. This thing should be like persist formats. So let's refactor that into function. Persist formats. So what this should do, I think, is self parser clear, self formats clear. How come? Oh, 0 dot clear. Okay. And then persist formats. There we go. So it knows about foo and bar, right? So formats clear. Then when I load it again, it won't know about any formats. Perfect. So then I can load stage GIF and knows about all those formats and quit. And it knows about all my formats again. Great. Okay, the last stage of this would be, the last thing I need from this is I need a formats like select. And that'll select like what is the top level format of the data, I think. So I just need a menu option, but it needs to be dynamically populated with the names of the formats. So this thing did that, right? It had this thing. So let's copy that. Well, let's make a new, this would be a new message, right? Select format. We also have to tell the info overlay the names of the formats. So we would get a string back, which is the name of the selected format. And what we want to do here is actually do the parsing. So it would be like self.selected format. And I'd want to store also selected format. Okay, so we need to put that in our state. String. Or should I make that an option string? Yeah, let's make it option string. So if it's not set, then we won't parse. Okay, selected format. Need to initialize it. So this is going to be sum. Unless I make that an option. Why is this not owned? By call hierarchy. Yeah, why is that not owned? Own it, please. This borrow. But yeah, that allows me to own it here and not have to make another copy. Okay, so then let's make that an option. The most flexible, right? Then I don't have to say sum here. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to say if let sum format equals self dot selected format, then store it. Else we're going to clear it from the store. Hopefully there's a method to do that. Remove. Cool. I really need a constant for that, don't I? Okay, so then the last thing would be to well, another thing to do would be to load it. So selected format will load from here. Let selected format equals store dot get selected format unwrap would this just automatically work? That's cool. Actually, no, it's an option IVEC. Do I need to map that then? Yes, I need to map that. Map format to format. It would be actually, hold on. Can it automatically do it into if I say string, if I do option string? Mismatch types. Okay, it can't do it directly, but what if I do like map? Into is not supported? Okay, well, I can convert it from, is it like, I can do like string from UTF-8 lossy? Almost. I have to do a toString from that, I guess. Okay. There we go. So we're loading it. Gotcha. And then this probably needs to be an ant. There we go. Okay, so we're never selecting it. So another thing I need to do is when the formats are loaded, which is load formats file. Let me think about this. It's everything every time this is called, right? Actually, did we call it at the beginning? Yes. And we called it multiple times, really. Show hierarchy. So if there are multiple formats files, we'll end up doing this multiple times, but I don't think it's a big deal. So it'll be as part of this, it will tell its info overlay about the formats, set formats. We also need to tell what the selected format is, right? Yes. So set formats, borrow self formats .0. Okay, info overlay. Here we go. Yay! Pub new, add contact, select. Okay, just put it anywhere. Pub function select set formats. So this is formats, which is borrowed hash set string to do hash set comes from collections. All right, so then we're just going to store a copy of it. So self.formats. Well, if we're going to store a copy, why don't we just make it owned? Right? So there we go. Okay, and then back in here, we have to then clone it instead of taking a reference. All right. So then the idea would be that we have another menu for select here, and then if it's open, we'd have another menu which would populate with all of those formats, and we allow one of them to be selected. And if one is selected, then we would send the app a message about it. So select. Let's put it here, and can I have like a separator? Separator. There we go. It's just so that I don't accidentally hit clear. So UI, so selected, we're gonna close the menu. Actually, we're not gonna close the menu. UI. Wouldn't this be a menu button? I think it would be a menu button. That's how it works, right? And in this UI, we would have to populate it. So for format in self.formats borrowed. It's going to be all jumbled. Do I really care? I probably want to sort it, but I'm not going to care about it right now. So it would be UI.button format if clicked. UI close menu. And here's where we'd send that message. One of these guys. We'd send a select format. And it's format clone. Almost got away with it. Oh, so yes, some format clone. That means like, I guess we'd say like reset or something. Okay, I am getting some errors here. Why is that? Expected a block. I don't see the problem. Too many parentheses? I don't see the problem here. Expected a block. Oh, that's because there's an if. Duh. All right, fixed it. Okay. Actually, and can I put a check mark next to it if it's selected? Or is that too much? That's too much. Let's just get this running. Like, optimally, I want it to like show me the selected format. So format, select. Oh, it did the format file. Why did it do that? I mean, that's kind of cool, but that's not what I wanted. App. Oh, I see what happened. I don't want the formats. I actually want I want these ones. I want these cloned. Keys. Wait, what? Type coerce to mismatch types. Oh, keys is an iterator. So I want to do a collect. And I have to do a cloned. Cloned collect. Okay. Very close, I think, to actually getting this working. And that's a good thing because I got to sleep at some point. Format, select. Okay, cool. It's very long though, but in here somewhere is going to be GIF, right? I don't see it. There's just too many formats. Is it just in here, but there's just too many of them? There's too many of them. So how do I deal with if the list is too long? It's also not very wide. So maybe when I set up that menu, maybe I just need to set its width wider. But I'm gonna have a more general problem that it might be too. I might need to scroll it. Do I have to like put that into a scrollable area? I don't know how to do these things. Menu button, like, how do I like show the given menu? If call from in a menu, this will instead create a button for a sub menu. Okay. How do I set the sub menu size? There's got to be a way to do that, right? Well, I don't know. Find hasn't been too good tonight, but we'll give it another chance. In eGUI, how do I set the width of a submenu? If it's a layout and size of widget within submenu, which you can use the allocate response method. This method allocates space for the widget and checks for interaction in the space. You specify minimum direct. Okay. Okay, yeah, that's a good idea. So I would do like UI.allocate at least. So that's a vec2. Click, right? eGUI. Well, this is all within eGUI, right? "500 pixels by 1,000. Well, by 800. Let's see what that gets me. That might not do anything, but it's worth a shot. Formats. Okay. I think it allocated it, but that returns a response, right? And interact with that. How do I like... It was like child something, wasn't it? Hold on. I did this in here. No, not here. In like the data tree. Child. The child UI? I think that's what I have to do. After I allocate, I have to do a child UI. Let rect response, right? Sure. Layout eGUI. Align eGUI. Just guessing here. I have no idea if this is going to do the right thing. Formats. Oh, that sort of worked. It's really tall though. So can I shorten that? And I guess I could put it in a scrollable thing if I wanted even, right? Okay, that did something weird there. See how like it's too long? So what if I do a vertical? One of these thingies. Scroll area vertical show. I'm getting there. I didn't know I'd have to like allocate my own space and do a vertical scroll bar, but I don't know, maybe you just have to. Ooh, that actually worked. Problem is it allocated way too much space horizontally. So what if I do like a 0 or something? Because I don't really care about the horizontal space. Maybe allocated least is not the best though. This actually might not allocate enough space at all. No, it did it. There we go. So now we got a nice scrollable thing. Okay, a little bit wider because it's scrunching it. So how about, I don't know, how about 200? I would think that like I wouldn't have to do this, that it would kind of figure it out from the buttons extents, but I guess it's not smart enough to do that. Wider. 300. Maybe there's an alternative to allocate at least. See, it's like allocating too much now. I wonder if I can like, yeah, I don't know. We did get it to select the format. That's great. And I should be persisting that, right? So if I run this again, it should select it. I don't know if it's selecting it because we're not loading that back, right? We'll do this on load to see if we're actually selecting it. Yes, we're selecting it. Nice. Nice. Okay, so yeah, what do we do to like get the scroll bar to the right? Oh, maybe it's align right or something. I was doing like some weird alignment thing in there, right? Like this align left thing. What if I align like right or something? What can I align by? Center, min, max, what? Um, is that right? Maybe that's right. Maybe I guessed it. No, now it's just broken. Okay, never mind. How about right align? Child UI might not be the right thing either. Okay, it's obviously not right alignment. What happens if I like comment that stuff out? No, I need a UI, right? Because this tells me can't mutate it. Oh, actually I can. What does this do if I don't do a child UI? I think what is happening is it's thinking I've allocated all that space and it's trying to put it below that. So I sort of need this, but what layout do I pick? I don't know. Line size within rect. I don't know. I don't know what to put here. That's what I had before, like left to right, right? No, I had top down, and it was left aligned. Okay, maybe I should be looking at the examples. Okay, now it's completely broken. What did I do? I don't know what I did. This was working. I broke it. I broke it. Oh, it forgot about its formats. Well, how did that happen? There. Oh, I must have hit clear. Okay, so then does that mean that this might have maybe even without the child UI it would have worked? I just had cleared it by mistake. I see. Okay, so what happens if I comment that out? It grew the area. Okay, that's getting somewhere. So I think maybe I don't want any pixels at all there. And it's gonna, maybe I don't even need this allocate at least because maybe the vertical will take care of this for me now. Yeah, I have a feeling that the vertical is taking care of it for me. So what if I just comment this out? Yes. Well, actually, it's just not white enough. So I need this to like make it whiter, but I don't need this at all. I don't need that rectangle or the response, so I can just do that. Okay. I thought show took a reference. I'm confused why that actually works. How that works. That's not a reference, is it? Oh, it is a reference. Okay, never mind. Okay, cool. Anyway, this should work. So this makes a scroll bar, and that's nice. So it makes a scroll bar if necessary. And so I needed to do the at least to set the width wide enough. Okay. GIF. All right. Then the final thing is to actually parse it and then actually put the components here, right? Not the final thing, the next thing. I keep saying final. It's like the final thing I do, and then the stream ends forever. So it's when all three of those things come together, right? So I guess we would check that in every time we either it's in the app. Never did do that, did I? Yeah, whenever we load a data format or we load a formats file or we select the format, right? Okay, then I think what I'm going to do is at this point, we would call it this dot maybe parse. Okay, and then here maybe parse, and here as well. So then we'll have a function maybe parse. Because maybe we do it, maybe we don't do it. So there has to be some prerequisites, right? So if like self.selected format is none, then no parsing, right? If self dot bitstream. Oh right, we need to keep a copy of it. So let self.bitstream, we don't need a let, equals bitstream.clone. Can't clone a bitstream, can't clone. Bounds were not satisfied. Is it because of this? Box. I think I know what the problem is. It's not shareable. Okay, it needs to be shareable. Hex editor bitstream's fine. It's this thing, bitstream adapter. Oh, wait. No. That is the bitstream deep inside there. So this much of it right there. Actually, this much of it is the bitstream. This is the bitstream wrapper for hex editor. And then this should be cloned here. We give the hex editor a copy. And then we store the original. So this is for the hex editor. We do the type erasure for it. And then we set self bitstream. I guess we could store it directly. Could store it and then we can get it back. Only I wanted that to be in an option. So let's do it this way. Self bitstream equals sum bitstream. Okay, and then this goes here. Option ingestion bitstream. Actually, can we just use the original type? rcref cell bitstream file. Okay. It's gonna be none. down here. Okay, and then back in maybe parse. So unneeded. Well, it will be needed. If self.bitstream is none, also return. And then finally, if well, there's two more, right? Selected format is none. I already did that check. Okay, so really then this should be let selected format equals this else. Can I borrow it? I don't think I can, but let's, because it's going to be what? It's a selective format, right? Yeah, so it's fine. What's this warning? Irrefutable? Oh, let some otherwise return. Okay, so then might as well check it here, right? If self parser dot formats dot contains key selected format. If the parser doesn't know about the format, then we're returning. Finally, we get to this part, then we want to run the ingestion and get a data composite, and then I think we just give it to the info overlay at that point. So do what ingest does. We do this thing, and I don't think we need, I'm not going to do the callbacks yet. I'm just going to delete the callbacks for now. Okay, we need a composite. Right, so we have to form the stuff for it. So I remember this. We gotta like make a bitstream. So we basically have to take self.bitstream clone and then erase the type. And then this is from, well, this is an ingestion bitstream. Why is that a problem? Non-primitive cast. Oh, this has to be some. So we can do the same thing here, right? Let some bitstream equals borrow that, else return. So then this is bitstream clone. Okay, in the origin, that's ingestion bitstream subset, and then this is ingestion, and then ingestion. Okay, and this format is selected format. No arguments, and then we do ingestion. Okay, what does it take? It takes the hash map, so that's self parser formats. Ingest the composite, and we get back the data composite. Get the data. Right, we get an RC ref cell component, right? So then we're gonna give that to the info overlay. Self.info overlay .data. Actually, why don't I just well, some data, right? Okay, and then data option ingest, well, RC ref cell ingestion data component. Oh my goodness. Okay. Actually, I can't just do an assignment because we have to like reflect the entire tree into the data tree. Yeah. Okay. So then we're not doing an assignment, right? In fact, this is a problem, right? It's private. So we'll just do set data and just give it to it. I guess we'll do an option. New pub set data. Self data is option RC ref cell ingestion data component. All right, so that's done. App. Okay. If let some data equals data. Oh, and this doesn't need to have data here anymore. I don't think I actually need it yet, so we're just going to delete it out of here. I think we're just going to basically do this. Like what this used to do, well, we're going to do it here now. Up in set data. So I got to do self data tree here. Okay. So it's actually not using the data yet, but this will at least confirm that it actually parses it. If we see stuff in the data tree. Okay, it parsed it. Great. Oh, the kitty cat wants inside. Kitty wants to eat. Okay. So rather than having all this junk data, we're going to use the real data. So we're not going to use the root node at all. Yeah, this is going to be what we initialize. Well, this needs to be recursive then. Let's just do the first level. So for child in data dot borrow dot child keyed children dot iter. Well, just get their names at first. Keys. Dot enumerate. So index child. We're gonna add. Hold on. This I didn't mean to move this out. That needed to be kept where it was. Where was this? In new? Right here, right? Without the self in front. Okay. Yeah, so I think we're just doing a add row and we're putting an index here. And we're just putting child, which is a string clone, right? With no second value, and that's it. Kill all these things. So we should see like the top level elements now of the GIF. I did this right. Oh, look at that. We got data, header, trailer, logical screen. It would be nice if we sorted it by the offset of the origin, right? We could at least do that. So hey there, Mr. Balrog. Went on a date with a girl once and she told me she played goalie on her soccer team. Right at that moment, I knew that she was a keeper. Oh. All right. Do you deserve a point? I think Mr. Balrog deserves a point. Mr. Balrog always comes in here with a joke. Now you have 62 points. How'd you get so many points? Have you told 62 jokes? This is a little tricky, right? Because this name is not repeated here, so I have to kind of retain it. I have to retain the name along with the component so that we can then sort it. So I guess let children equal key children dot iter dot map name child okay, and then collect into a vector of stuff. Okay, and then what we want from here is two things. I want the name and the child's borrow origin map origin to origin.offset. There shouldn't be any children that don't have an offset, right? Shouldn't be. What if there is, though? Do I want to sort them last or first, or does it matter? Maybe first? I don't know. So the way that works is I would do an unwrap or 0 to put them first, right? Should be an as ref. Okay, so children now is a vector of borrowed strings and use sizes. So then we want to do children. Well, this needs to be mutable because we're about to sort it. So children dot sort unstable by name and offset. How does unstable work by? It's a compare. Okay, it takes two of them. So we need two of them. LHS and RHS. LHS compared to. It's a cat that ran around me trying to do bad things. Why didn't like me borrow? Temporarily drop while borrowed. Oh yeah. Well, that's fine. We just need to clone this. Now it's not dropped while borrowed. Okay, and then this should, now it just becomes children. In children enumerate. And we can ignore, well, this is the name. And ignore the second part. And we own that name, right? So into iter, put the child in there. Why doesn't it let me do that? Can't find the scope because it's name. Okay, good. Let's try it. So now it should sort them by the offset in the file. And it... Oh, data's special. Because it's a vector with many different parts in it. It did put the other three in there in the order, right? Really, we want header to be first, then logical screen, then data. So I think what we want is, if we don't get an origin for it, we should look and see if it has iterations. Try to get an order from it. Unwrap or else. Actually, let's just do more work in here. No. What I'll do is I'll borrow the child here. Let child equal child dot borrow. And then we can do that. But what I would really like to do is say, like, let offset equal if let some origin equal child dot origin as ref, else something else. So origin dot offset. Let's put this for here for a second, because then I can just put offset. Now I can do some, now I can do more work here. So if child dot iterations actually, I guess we want to take the lowest one of these. So let's make a helper function at global scope, determine offset, extract offset, extract, well, how about lowest offset? Given data, RC ref cell ingestion data component. I guess we can borrow that reference so we don't have to make our own copy of it. And then this will give me back usize. One, two, three. One, two, it's only two of them. Okay, because I would rather just have this go back to, like, mapping. So make this, okay, copy this stuff out. We're gonna put it here, and I'll work on the, I'll get this. Comment this out for now. Okay, lowest offset, I want to use it up here. lowest offset child.borrow. I think I have to reborrow for that, right? Oh, I don't even have to borrow it. It's just child. Cool. Because this can be recursive, right? It's if we get an if there's an origin to it, then it's just the offset. Otherwise, we're gonna take the child's iterations. Actually, it's data now. Data's iterations. We have to borrow into this to do this, right? Data borrow. Oh, I have to borrow. Never mind. I have to borrow at the very beginning. So don't borrow her. Data iterations dot min or iter min min's last. Map, right? We want to do a filter map, right? How does filter map work again? Okay, it's the opposite. We want to like filter and then map, right? Filter iteration. Iteration is some. Then map. Is it unwrapped? I want to skip the nuns in here. Because this is a vector of options, right? Well, I can, Well, yeah, this should just be iteration.unwrap dot borrow. Well, it becomes the lowest offset of these, right? Yeah. So it's lowest offset of this. Minimum. I need to unwrap independently. Maybe it is filter map that I'm trying to do. I think it is filter map. I think it's just iteration, and then I don't need to unwrap these. It's still finding an option size. Dang it. Dang it. Okay, so it's an iterator of items, which are those cells. So I map map them, iterator view size, and it's just the minimum of it. Is minimum not what I thought it was? Oh, okay, I have to unwrap the minimum. I guess I do unwrap or 0 or something, right? This should be as ref. Redundant closure, lowest offset? Oh, cool. That's true. Just do the shorthand version. Okay, let's see if that works. So now it looks into the iterations, and if it still can't find an offset, see now it ordered it correctly. Header first, then logical screen, then data, then trailer. Okay. Whew. Now, what can I do? Well, it's 11:20. I really should stop and go to bed. This is a lot of progress though. Like, it's actually parsing it. It's just I am not actually showing the pieces up here. I guess I could at least show the value, right? If there is a value. And I could also make it recursive. Why don't I do that? I'll show the value and then I'll have it populate it recursively because that's not a whole lot of work. And then we'll deal with the synchronizing with the hex editor tomorrow. So up here, set data, right? Sort them. We add a row none. But then after we add the row, we need the token back. Parent token or token. Because that's going to be a token that now we want to iterate the children of the children. So, and this is recursive, right? So, self dot set child data. And it is oh, I actually need it in here, don't I? So we have that child. Can I put the child in here? And then we're just ignoring, whoops. Ignoring this, but we get it back out here. Yes. Okay, child. And we need the token. Chilled child. Okay, so then that's another function. Set child data. And I think I can largely copy this. I just realized that this is going to be something I want to refactor out, but that's okay. So this is no longer an option. It's borrowed. And we have a token use size. Actually, this is data tree row token. So we don't need to do that. This is as ref borrow, isn't it? Probably because of the rest of this stuff right here, right? Yeah, let's simplify this. Let data equals data as ref borrow. Okay, and then on all this stuff, and then so the difference here is we put a sum token. Okay, so now we just made it recursive, so it should pop. Oh, I have an error. Same problem here. Guess so. Okay, running it. So this should recursively populate the nodes. There you go. Look at that. Logical screen descriptor, width, height. So I told it true all the time, so it expanded everything. But yeah. So this data is actually, we're not populating those nodes. So if I did that, it's going to be a lot more data. Actually, does this scroll bar work? Oh, it does. Look at that. The scroll bar works. So let me not expand them by default. False. Okay, and then to handle the iterations, why don't we do it this way? Why don't I actually look and see how the iterations is done? So, oh, okay, I know how to do this then. We would have a second level here for. Nope, take that back. It's. It would be kind of like this, but we still have an index and we still have a child, but it would be in here it would be data dot iterations dot enumerate as ref enumerate. Can't reference them? Why not? Type annotations needed. I don't see why. Can I just oh, because that has to be iterated. Actually, if we iterate, we don't need to do that. Okay, cool. So then I have an index and an optional. So we skip it if it is empty. So if child, well, we just do yeah, if let's some child equal child. Then we get another token, and then so here with this name, it's going to be format with making it look like a vector, and it's going to be index. Okay, now it should populate all the data nodes. Can use a let gar instead of a let sum to reduce the right shift. I thought about that. There we go. Here's all 61 data blocks. So we can open one of them up. Special purpose block, look ahead, application extension. So let me populate the values now, because that should be fun. So every time we inserting a row, we're putting like this vector here, right? So if I have, since I have the child, I can take the child's borrow dot. How come it's not helping me here? Probably because we're inside of the. we're inside of a macro. So let's just go outside the macro and do let value equals child dot borrow dot val extract value. There we go. Borrow dot toString. Cannot borrow data in dereference as mutable is required. Oh, extract value is mutable? Then I don't want extract value. Can I just get to its value? I thought I could get to its value. Where am I going? Where am I going? Key. Yeah, its value. Dot value. Why can't I get to the value? I can, it just didn't want to help me there. Dot borrow dot toString. There we go. It took me a while, but I figured it out. Okay, so then same thing here. We have a value. And then we have another value over here. So now that second column should be populated with the values that we parsed. Okay, lots of nils on data. Which makes sense, because like, so probably we shouldn't do anything if it's nil. Yeah, I forgot that we had the overall value for something parsed in iteration context to be an array. I might want to turn that off and like only do it when like when we do extract value. Hey, look, there's that application identifier, Netscape. Cool. And then here's what I always show people when I first start the stream, right? Or when people ask what I'm doing, I say, we're parsing this file using a format, and here's the output. Why is the value 1? Is that a bug? The value of the logical screen descriptor shouldn't be 1. It looks like it's copying the global color table flag. Anyway, look, there's the width and height. 300. Why does logical screen itself show nil? These are different formats, so it would have to, I'd have to look and see what we do. Whatever it's whatever I decided to do inside of the format. As far as what did I return? See, a logical to screen doesn't have a return statement, so it gets no value. Oh, I decided to return the global color table flag for some reason. I must have done that while I was like I must have done that while I was explaining something. We don't actually need to return that because we're going into it to find it. So if I save the format, I don't have a reload, so I have to close it and open it again. But now logical screen descriptor will be nil. So I suppose what we'll do is we'll just not populate it if it's nil. And maybe, how about also if it doesn't have, well, no. I'm thinking if it has, like the data, yeah, it'll be an array, but it really shouldn't be. Well, that all goes into the display, right? So then really what I should have is a helper function that operates on a data component. Um, value to display for data. This thing. Yeah, I need to do a bunch of refactoring. So let's at least extract out how, like, the logic that to form that string. And then what I can do here is I can say, let data equal data borrow at least. And then I can say if data.value, it really doesn't want me to like look at that. Ingestion, data value, nil. String new. Else data.value dot. Oh, it's because I didn't borrow it. Data.value dot borrow. Yep. Okay. So now if it's nil, we won't print it. So that one's still it's not nil because it's an array with a bunch of nils in it. Because we don't recursively call this function if it's an array. I could, but yeah. Anyway, so now it's a little bit cleaned up, right? So there we go. So now it's starting to look more professional, right? So the last thing to do, which I'm not going to do now, we'll do it tomorrow, is when I click one of these, I want it to highlight the bytes. And also, and a more advanced thing would be if I click a byte here, it should find the innermost part that has an origin that contains that byte. Here's that global color table. So these are all vector context parses. So these are all like non-adjacent because it alternates red, green, blue. What if the byte is spread across multiple parts? I probably just have it select the first one. Oh, and the other thing we could print here is we could print next to the value, we could print offset, and like it could show the offset with the bit offset and also the size. So maybe part value offset size, something like that. Anyway, I think this is pretty cool. So we can look and see that special purpose block, and then we can see that this is a data rendering block, table-based image descriptor, so we can see so I guess within the frame of a GIF, you could actually set the left and top position if you wanted. Width and height, there's a local color table. I guess local color table, where's the local color table then? The color table size is 2. Where's the local color table? Did I miss it? Yeah, the sizes of the blocks. Search function for the tree would be nice too. Yeah, lots of nice things we could add to this. Although, like, if you like, would it be like you just start typing and it would just highlight the first one? Or like a search bar, you start typing and it would highlight the first one and there'd be like a next, and then it would just jump to the next one that matches that? Yeah. How do you like the dotted lines? That worked out pretty well, huh? I remember doing a lot of work on that in C Sharp, and I did never refactored it, which showed when we were porting it, it looked ugly, and now the ported code is ugly too, and I need to refactor it. Yeah, I like how it looks. How the code looks is ugly though. I'm just kind of confused that there's no local color table. Is there? Is it hidden inside the control extension? Delay time. So this is like how long to show a frame, right? It's in hundredths of a second, I think. Hmm. Kind of curious now, like why we're not seeing a local color table. Like, is it in here somewhere? Oh, do we have a bug and are we not emitting a part when we're in a block context? This is bounded region, right? A bounded region. I think we have a bug. We're not emitting the local color table back into the composition. Yeah, yeah, there we have a bug. So right after the image, between the image descriptor and the image data should be the local color table. So between these two, there should be a local color table, and there isn't any. We found a bug. To do. Fix bug. Parts inside bounded regions are not stored into the composition. I have an idea about why that's a bug. I think it's because we form a sub context and we don't put the composite. We don't make a reference to the original composite in there, and so it gets lost. So it's like there's a child. There's another child of table-based image, and under that is the local color table, but then that child is unnamed and it never gets stored, and so it gets completely lost. So between these two is a lost component. Cool. Well, this is quite a lot of progress. And I have to decide what to do about these arrays. Maybe put that in the to-do here. Decide what value to assign to components parsed in vector context. They tend to be, well, they get array values with copies of the values of their iterations. Which is kind of redundant, right? So, like if we're looking at these values, I could also see them here. So this is just really a copy of all the values. We already have the ability to index into red to find the one we want. So why do we need a copy of the entire vector there? You could use ellipses when the array is not extended. Oh, rather than just clipping it? Just to make it look nice? I mean, it's a good idea. And I need to write down Spoof's idea too. I've been staying up way too late. Okay, my tab key is like not working. There it goes. Okay, so Spoof's idea was search. Add a search bar for finding parts. Hey there, Cat Peasant. Look, Cat Peasant, I got parsing in the UI. I don't have correlation yet, though. Correlation would be like you click on signature and it does that. And then you click on version and it does that. And you click on screen width and it does that. And etc. What does a witch use to create a new curses? A hex editor. Exactly. I think this is working splendidly. It might be time to pick a new format to parse. I think we've picked this format to we've sort of beaten this one up completely. You like the UI? I think it looks pretty good too, yeah. Has the benefit that one can quickly scan the first few values. Oh, for the ellipses here. Well, the other thing I was thinking of is we would have a if I put this in a horizontal as well as a vertical, I'd be able to scroll and see the whole list. But I don't know how valuable that is. It would right now it would scroll the name completely off. I don't think I really care about seeing these copies of the arrays. If I want to see the values, I just do this and I'd go to the right index that I care about, you know? And the nil thing here is like silly. So one thing I could do in the formats, by the way, is if we know that it's a special purpose block, I could have these values bubble out to be the value of data in that iteration. So it could say here like application identifier, Netscape. Without even having to open up this, it would just say that right here. That's one of the purposes of having that return statement, by the way, is we can evaluate an expression there. We can fill in whatever value we want. And like for these, it would say something like it's an image. It's an image with a delay time of, it could say like image, delay time 3, size 300 by 300. Like you can make little summary lines for these nodes. What if you change the layout to be top and bottom instead of next to each other? Could do that too. Then you would see less of it. I was thinking like this was nice because as long as it is because this is generally sorted from earliest in the file to latest, that when you click, as you click down, the cursor would advance, and you can kind of like have a left to right mapping, especially when you get into stuff like these fields. Like as you click down here, it would just go further and further in. Well, the other thing I want to do is if you click a composite, it should show you all the bytes that hold the composite. And what would be really neat is if you click into an individual field, that it highlights the field and its parents all the way up the ancestor chain in different colors. If you were to recommend a language to someone with zero experience, which would you choose? I'd probably choose Python. Python is the answer. Okay, I think I'm done admiring this for now. I need to back this up so I don't lose it. Send it out of the virtual machine. Looks like I also have left in some debugs, which I'll have to clean up. A lot of refactoring to do, a lot of cleanup. I have to do the matching. We have all these ideas to look into. Bugs like that, the bounded region have to fix. Really interested in learning how to program for some months now, but never quite knew where to begin. You begin with an introduction to programming on your favorite site, whether it's YouTube or a coding website or whatnot. There's lots to choose from. That's where I would begin. It'd also be neat if you could click something, a hex editor scrolls to that section. Yeah, that's what I intend to do. That's one of the things I want to do with this for sure. That if I click on data 25, it should scroll down roughly to here and say, well, here's where data 25 begins, right there. And if you click into it and you like go into the image data and you go to these blocks, like it should go to the corresponding block and everything. We're actually not showing the block because of that bug, because the block is a bounded region. Anyway, I think it's time for me to go to bed. I hope you guys enjoyed watching. We will leave you with, maybe we'll rate Evan. Web app dev dipped in sauce. Here we go, rating. Yes, Peace Flask and Zero Dan 1 and Cat Peasant. If I can get up in the morning and I'm not super tired, then I'll stream again in the morning. Otherwise, it'll be tomorrow night, I think. So, okay, see you guys later. Bye. Bye, bye, bye.